Welcome to the deep dive. If you're keen to explore some iconic Japanese landmarks, well, you're in the right place. We're going beyond just the Tokyo buzz today.
That's right. Think majestic mountains, serene islands. We're kind of acting as your personal travel guide here.
Exactly. We've gathered some really interesting info on two amazing yet very different parts of Japan.
Yep, we're talking about the incredible Mount Fuji and then something a bit different, the Tokyo Islands.
So the plan is to give you some real insights, right? Like must-see spots, a bit about local customs, how to get around.
Maybe even touch on costs. Basically actionable stuff to help you, maybe plan your own trip. We've got historical facts, practical tips, food, lots to cover.
Okay, let's dive in, starting with the big one, Mount Fuji. I mean, it's the symbol of Japan, isn't it?
Yeah.
That perfect cone shape is just recognized everywhere.
Absolutely iconic. And geographically, it's about 60 miles or so west of the main Tokyo-Yokohama sprawl. It sits right between Yamanashi and Shizuoka prefectures.
And it's a volcano, right? But
Yeah.
dormant.
Well, technically, it's dormant in the sense that it hasn't erupted since 1707. That's over 300 years ago.
Yeah.
But interestingly, it is still classified as an active volcano by scientists.
Wow, okay. Active. Good to know. And it's not just sitting there alone, is it? It's part of a bigger picture.
Exactly. It's the absolute centerpiece of the Fuji Hakone Zoo National Park that was established way back in 1936. And more recently, in 2013, it got UNESCO World Heritage status.
Ah, UNESCO. That's a big deal. Why specifically? Is it just the beauty?
It's partly the beauty, of course, but the UNESCO listing really recognizes its huge cultural significance. Think centuries of artistic inspiration, the deep spiritual connection. It's considered a cultural landscape, not just a natural wonder.
Right. Makes sense. What about the name Fuji? Any interesting story there?
It's actually a bit murky, the exact origin. The first time it appears in writing is around 713 CE in this old record. One popular theory, though, connects it to the word for fire from the indigenous Ainu people, combined with the Japanese word for mountain, sand, or yama, which, fits its volcanic nature.
Fire Mountain. Yeah, I like that. And the characters they use now?
The current kanji often get interpreted as meaning things like good fortune or well-being, kind of auspicious.
Nice. Okay, quick point of clarification. Sometimes you hear people say Mount Fujiyama, right?
Yes, the classic mistake. Yama already means mountain in Japanese. So Fujiyama is basically saying Mount Fuji Mountain.
Redundant. Got it. So what should we call it?
The most common and respectful way is just Fuji-san. The san here isn't like Mr. or Mrs. It's just another reading for mountain.
Fuji-san. Okay, noted. You mentioned the connection people have with it. It runs deep, doesn't it?
Oh, incredibly deep. Every single summer, you get thousands upon thousands of people climbing it. For many, it's almost a pilgrimage, heading for the shrine that's actually at the summit.
A shrine at the very top. Wow.
Yeah, it's this blend of physical challenge and, for many, a spiritual experience. And of course, its image is just everywhere in Japanese art for centuries.
You can't not think of Hokusai, right? The 36 views of Mount Fuji, those prints are just iconic.
Absolutely. Those woodblocks from the 1820s, 1830s, they basically cemented Fuji's image for the rest of the world. They're incredible.
So switching gears a bit, how did this massive mountain actually form? Is there like a simple story?
Well, there's a traditional legend about it rising up after a huge earthquake back in 286 BCE. But geologically speaking, it's way more complex. We're talking millions of years.
Millions. Okay, not exactly overnight then.
Not quite. Its formation really started maybe 2.6 million years ago, building on an even older base. The first proper eruptions were probably over 700,000 years ago.
So it wasn't always the Fuji we see now.
No, it actually evolved through stages. Think of older volcanoes like Komotake. Its remains form part of the northern slope now, and Ashitakeyama to the southeast. The main cone, the stratovolcano.
Stratovolcano, what's that exactly?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it just means a volcano built up over time by layers, layers of hardened lava, ash, pumice. That's what gives many volcanoes that classic cone shape. Fuji's a prime example.
Gotcha.
Right. So that main cone started forming between those older mountains maybe 400,000 years ago.
So it's like a family tree of volcanoes.
Kind of, yeah. You can think of it as three main stages, or three successive volcanoes. Komitake first, then Ko-Fuji, that means Old Fuji, starting maybe 100,000 years ago. And finally, Shin-Fuji, or New Fuji.
Shin-Fuji, that's the current one.
That's the one. It became active around 10,000 years ago, and it's responsible for that beautiful, almost perfectly symmetrical shape we see today.
And this is all linked to, like, earthquakes and tectonic plates and stuff.
Absolutely. Fuji sits within the Fuji volcanic zone, which is part of a bigger chain linked to the Mariana and Aizu Islands. It's all driven by plate tectonics, basically, the huge plates making up the Earth's crust moving around.
Right.
Specifically, here you've got the Pacific plate sliding underneath the Philippine plate. That process, called subduction, happening down at the Nankai Trough, generates the heat and pressure that fuels volcanoes like Fuji.
Fascinating. Such powerful forces at play. You mentioned eruptions earlier historically. How often did big ones happen?
Well, looking back, there seems to have been a pattern of large eruptions roughly every 500 years or so.
Okay. And the last big one was 1707? What was that like?
Yeah, the Hori eruption in 1707, it was pretty major. Reports from the time talk about volcanic ash falling so thick it basically blacked out the sky. Even as far away as Edo, which is modern-day Tokyo, areas closer to the mountain were buried.
Wow. And was it just spontaneous?
Interestingly, no. Geologists think it was actually triggered by a massive earthquake, the Great Hori earthquake, which had happened just about 49 days before the eruption.
So one disaster led to another?
Seems like it. Since 1707, though, things have been much quieter, mostly just small earthquakes in the area. There was a bit of concern after the huge 2011 Tushoku earthquake. There was a magnitude 6.4 quake near Fuji shortly after, but thankfully nothing major kicked off.
A stark reminder of nature's power, though. Okay, let's shift to the fun stuff for potential visitors. What are the must-dos around Fuji?
Oh, the surrounding area is just packed with beauty. A huge draw, probably the main one, is the Fuji Five Lakes region, just north of the mountain.
Fuji Five Lakes, right. Formed by lava.
Yep. Ancient lava flows dammed up rivers and created these lakes. Yamanaka, Kawaguchi, Sai, Shuji, and Matosu.
I think I know Lake Kawaguchi. That's the one with the amazing reflections of Fuji, right? Looks incredible in photos.
That's the one. It really is stunning. And it's the most developed for tourism, so you've got lots of options, boat trips, you can rent bikes, heaps of spots just to sit and soak in the view. Definitely put Lake Kawaguchi on your list. It's kind of the quintessential Fuji experience.
Okay, Kawaguchi is a must. What else?
Well, for a different kind of nature experience, there's Aokigahara Forest at the base of the mountain.
Oh, Kikahara. I've heard of that one. It has a bit of a reputation, doesn't it?
It does have a certain mysterious, sometimes somber reputation. But it's also fascinating. Geologically, it grew on old lava flows. So the trees have these really unique, dense root systems. And there are some amazing natural lava caves you can explore, like the Fugaku Wind Cave and the Narusawa Ice Cave. It offers a really different perspective.
Caves sound cool. What about getting those amazing views without, a massive hike?
Perfect solution for that is the Mount Fuji Panoramic Ropeway. It's a cable car that takes you up the side of a nearby mountain, Mount Tenju. The views of Fuji and Lake Kawaguchi from the top are just spectacular. There's an observation deck, even a little cafe up there. Really easy access to stunning scenery.
A ropeway sounds ideal. Easy views, yes please.
Definitely. And if you're after those photos, the ones you see on postcards,
Yeah, where do I get those?
head to Uishi Park, especially on the northern shore of Lake Kawaguchi. They have these incredible seasonal flower fields. In spring, there's this carpet of bright pink moss phlox called Shibazakura. The contrast of the colorful flowers with Fuji looming behind is just,
Yeah.
wow, amazing photo op.
Shibazakura. Okay, adding that to the list. What if I want a bit more adrenaline?
Huh. Well, there's always Fuji Q Highland. It's a major amusement park right near the base of the mountain. You can ride some pretty intense roller coasters with Mount Fuji, basically, right there in your view.
Roller coasters and Fuji. That's a wild combination.
That's definitely memorable. Then, for maybe the most iconic photo of all,
Go on.
you need to go to the Chiraido Pagoda. It's in Fuji Yoshida City, a bit uphill. But the view from there, looking out at that classic 5-storied red pagoda with Mount Fuji perfectly framed behind it, especially during cherry blossom season, it's breathtaking. Honestly, one of the classic views of Japan.
Ah, yes. I know exactly the picture you mean, that pagoda shot. Definitely iconic.
Totally. And for something a bit more cultural and historical, check out Saiko Iyashi no Saidonemba. It's this open-air museum, basically a reconstructed traditional village with thatched roof houses. Gives you a real feel for old rural Japanese life, again with Fuji views.
That sounds lovely, very peaceful.
It is. Oh, and a little fun fact, remember Lake Motosu, one of the 5 lakes?
Yeah.
Its view of Mount Fuji is actually the image featured on the back of the Japanese 1,000 yen banknote.
No way. Okay, I'm definitely checking my money when I get there.
Yeah.
So beyond these specific spots, what else is there? Is it all just nature and views?
Not at all. The wider Fuji area is a big recreational zone. You've got other theme parks, botanical gardens showing off the local plant life, ski resorts in the winter, even golf courses with, frankly, distracting views.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And just slightly southeast of Fuji is the Hakkai region. It's super famous in its own right, mainly for its onsen hot springs. Places like Yumoto and Gutra are packed with traditional inns and bathhouses.
Hot springs with maybe a view of Fuji.
You can definitely find places like that. Talk about relaxing.
Seems perfect. Now, we touched on the spiritual side earlier. Can we circle back to that? Fuji as a sacred mountain.
Yes, it's profoundly important spiritually. For centuries, it's been revered in Shinto and Buddhism. You find shrines and temples dotted all around the lower slopes, and as I mentioned, even within the summit crater itself.
Wow, so climbing it wasn't always just for fun.
Historically, no. It was primarily a religious act, a pilgrimage, and interestingly, for a long time, women were actually forbidden from climbing. That ban wasn't lifted until the Meiji Restoration in the late 19th century.
That's fascinating. A restricted climb.
Yeah, and pilgrims traditionally wore, and some still do, simple white robes for the ascent, symbolizing purity. Even now, while loads of people climb just for the challenge and the view during the official season, that's July 1st to August 26th, by the way, for many Japanese climbers, there's still that sense of undertaking something special, something significant.
And the night climb you mentioned.
Oh yeah, that's super popular. Climbing through the night to reach the summit, just as the sun comes up, Goriku, they call it. Witnessing dawn from the top of Japan. Supposed to be absolutely unforgettable.
I bet. Sounds incredibly moving. So besides tourism and its spiritual heart, does the mountain impact the local economy in other ways?
Oh, definitely. The mountain is a huge source of water. All the snowmelt and rain seeps down and creates abundant, clean groundwater and streams. This water is vital for local industries, things like paper making, some chemical industries, farming in the foothills.
Farming? Like what?
Yeah, various crops and also aquaculture, like farming rainbow trout. And the highlands around Fuji are known for dairy farming, too. So yeah, it's not just a pretty picture. It really sustains the region economically as well.
Amazing. So multifaceted. Okay, we've climbed Fuji in our minds, seen the views. Let's completely change scenery now. Tell me about the Tokyo Islands. Feels like a world away from Fuji.
It really is a fantastic contrast.
Yeah.
You know, these islands are technically part of the Tokyo Metropolis Administration, but they feel completely distinct. Their own vibe, their own culture, and especially their own food, very much tied to the local land and sea.
Food. Okay, you have my attention. What's the deal there?
Well, we've got some great info based on this guidebook called Locavore Dining in the Tokyo Islands. It's actually published by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government itself.
A government guidebook about eating local. That's cool.
Yeah, the whole idea is to boost the island's local produce, their farming, fishing, forestry, by highlighting restaurants that really make an effort to use those island ingredients. It supports the local producers and shows off the unique island flavors.
And is it accessible for international visitors? Like language-wise?
That's a key part of it. The guidebook specifically includes info in English and points out restaurants that welcome foreign guests, often with English menus available, which is super helpful.
Brilliant. So which islands are we talking about? Is it just one or two?
No, it covers quite a range. There's Oshima, which is the largest and closest to the mainland. Then Nijima and its little neighbor Shikanejima Kozushima, Miyakejima, the tiny Mikurashima, famous for dolphins, actually Hachijojima further south, and even the really remote Ogasawara Islands, specifically Chichijima and Hahajima, which are way out in the Pacific.
Wow, quite a spread. And how do you know if a restaurant is part of this locavore initiative?
When you're there, you should look out for a special sign. They call them Tokyo Island Pride Ingredients Used Stores. Seeing that sign means they're committed to using local stuff.
Island Pride Ingredients.
Yeah.
Nice.
What does a restaurant actually have to do to get that designation? Is it strict?
There are specific criteria, yeah. They need to use island-sourced ingredients either year-round or at least during the peak season for those ingredients. They should be offering dishes that are really typical of that island or maybe unique creations using local products.
Makes sense.
They also need to provide info to customers about where the ingredients come from, help promote island tourism in general, and even cooperate with local food education programs. It's quite comprehensive, really trying to build that local food system.
That sounds really positive, actually. More than just a label. What about practical stuff for travelers? Like, how much does eating out cost?
The guidebook usually lists menu prices, and it mentions they generally include the consumption tax, which is 10% usually, or 8% for takeout food. But, the usual caveats apply.
Well, Dishes could definitely change based on what's fresh and in season. That's the whole point of local eating, right? And restaurant opening hours can sometimes be a bit unpredictable on smaller islands, so it's maybe worth checking ahead if you have your heart set on a specific place.
Good tip. Anything else practical?
The guidebook apparently uses QR codes linked to online maps to help you find the places, which is handy, but obviously you'll need an internet connection for that to work.
Right. QR codes. Very 21st century. Okay. Enough logistics. Let's get to the food. What delicious things can we expect? Let's start with Oshima, the big one.
Okay, Oshima, lots going on there. You got places like Kaizenchaya Sushiku doing a shimadon. That's a rice bowl topped with local goodies like splendid Alfonsino, tuna, maybe some becco.
Becco? What's that?
It's a local whitefish, often marinated. In fact, becco sushi is a real Oshima specialty. You try it at Tsubaki Sushi. It's local fish marinated in soy sauce, sake, and crucially, green chili peppers grown on the island. Gives it a nice kick.
Ooh, island chili peppers. Sounds good. What else?
Well, there's a plant called ashitaba that grows really well on these islands. You'll see it pop up a lot. Curry House Kirikiri does an ashitaba pizza using the herb and also local camellia oil, another Oshima product.
Ashitaba pizza. Interesting.
Yeah, and for something sweet, Cadence has passion fruit shaved ice using condensed milk from Oshima cows. Oshokujidokoro Tomodachi does a bekkadon, that sashimi with island chili and soy over rice.
So becco comes in different forms.
Exactly. Book Tea Bed is Zuwashima, which sounds like a cool place, does a spicy chicken sandwich with the island chili and a ashitaba tea. Mante gets adventurous. Dangerous ginger fried pork with chili, grilled camellia black pork with island salt.
Dangerous pork, huh?
And even, get this, utsubo cocktail, that's moray eel. And thinly sliced moray eel, too.
Moray eel. Okay, that is adventurous.
Definitely pushes the boundaries. For simpler stuff, Starfish and Coffee has a local fish lunchbox. Tokyo Von 10 does ashitaba shaved ice. And Oshibana does a traditional dessert, cream and mitsu, using Tengusa algae, that's agar-agar, harvested right there off Oshima. So yeah, a real mix on Oshima.
It really is. From pizza to moray eel. Okay, how about Nijima and Shikanijima? Smaller islands, right?
Yeah, much smaller and close neighbors. On Nijima, ashitaba is again a big thing. Izakaya Nihonbashi does ashitaba tempura, probably a classic way to try it. Sunshine Nagamidokoro has something called akaika salt, yakisoba fried noodles with local squid and island seaweed.
Squid yakisoba sounds tasty.
Yeah. Kurobistan does an ashita banana juice, must be ashitaba and banana. And Senmachi Shakudo does an ashitaba pesto pizza using pesto made right there on Nijima.
Ashitaba pesto. They really use that plant for everything. What about Shikanijima?
On Shikanijima, Guest House Hitobun serves a dessert called milk canton jelly. It's made using Tengusa seaweed harvested from Shikinijima's own waters. Simple, local, shows how even close islands have their own little specialties.
It really does. Okay, hopping over to Kozushima, what's cooking there?
Kozushima highlights include Yuga Brewery doing, guess what, another ashitaba pizza, this time with a homemade crust they emphasize. And Miyako Sushi sounds great for seafood lovers. They do a kaizendon.
Kaizendon again, the seafood bowl.
Yep. Fresh sashimi, local seaweed, over vinegared rice. Can't go wrong. They also do tempura, featuring ashitaba naturally, and that prized fish, splendid Alfonsino or kinmade.
Kinmade seems popular. Okay, next stop, Miyakojima.
Miyakojima is actually particularly famous for its kinmade. Pension and restaurant Hanamaduki apparently does it various ways. They also serve a fascinating miso soup with kaminote.
Kaminote. What's that translate to?
Literally turtle's hand. They're actually goose barnacles, a type of shellfish that looks a bit like a turtle's foot. Apparently quite tasty. They also do ashitaba spring rolls there.
Turtle hand soup. Okay. Any sweets?
Gallery Cafe Cannon does a special enmitsu dessert using that Tengusa seaweed jelly again, and, you guessed it, ashitaba. Shimanchu Izakaya also does a kaizendon and an ashitaba salad. Seems like fresh fish and ashitaba are the real stars across many islands.
Definitely a theme emerging. What about tiny Mikurashima? Anything specific there?
Just one highlight mention for Mikurashima, but it sounds unique. At a place called Borosawa, they do kabutsu and ashitaba ice cream. Kabutsu is a local type of bitter orange.
Bitter orange and ashitaba ice cream. That's intriguing. Very local flavors combined. Okay, moving south to Hachijojima. Sounds like a bigger island.
Yeah, Hachijojima has a lot more going on culinarily. Seems quite diverse. Yoyodokoro Raisu does ashitaba fried rice, again with that island chili kick, plus assorted sashimi like tuna and ruby fish.
Yeah.
Wahachite serves shimazushi, That's island-style sushi where the fish is marinated in mustard, apparently.
Mustard sushi.
Different, yeah. And they do dipping noodles made with ashitaba, served with ashitaba salt. Hachijojima Eastside Chaya does savory rolls and even pizza with ashitaba, mozzarella, and ham. Royal Zanpaku Hachijojima offers island sushi and a marinated fish rice bowl set.
Lots of ashitaba variations.
Tons. And then there's kusaya. I.J. Susan serves matured raw kusaya. It's a fermented dried fish with a very strong aroma, definitely an acquired taste.
Heard about kusaya. Pungent is the word, I think.
That's putting it mildly. But they also do a more standard marinated fish bowl, zukinan, with that kamenote miso soup and local nori seaweed. Sweets-wise, Hachijujima's Jersey Cafe has ashitaba parfait with rice dumplings. Izakaya Daikichimaru has ashitaba tempura with a special ashitaba salt. Pizza Paradiso uses local Hachijujima cheese and shiitake mushrooms on their pizzas. Good Country Cafe does ashitaba cheesecake and ashitaba azuki milk shaved ice. And Senryo does tenzaro noodles with ashitaba tempura. Hachijujima really embraces its local stuff in all sorts of ways.
Wow! Cheesecake, pizza, parfaits, ashitaba is unstoppable. And kusaya for the brave. Okay, finally, way out there. The Ogasawara Islands. Chichijima and Hajima, what's the food vibe there? More tropical?
Definitely feels more tropical.
Yeah.
On Chichijima, Heart Rock Cafe serves hibiscus tea soda. Sounds refreshing. And a shark burger.
Shark burger. Okay, that's different.
Yeah, Paku Paku does cocktails using local shoshu liquor infused with passion fruit and island lemon. Shimayado Islander House makes its own fruit liquors too. Trebiori has an island lemon tea ice with local honey.
Sounds very islandy.
Totally. Kaiyu serves Chinese-style noodles featuring local billfish like blacktip grouper or swordfish. And Kimaguruguro Cafe does homemade sweets using local bitter orange, ashitaba, it even reaches out here, and local sea salt. So yeah, it definitely reflects that subtropical location.
Hibiscus, passion fruit, shark. It really paints a picture of a different environment. It's amazing how distinct each island's food scene seems, even though they're all technically Tokyo, all based on what's right there.
Exactly. It's a fantastic example of true local cuisine. Oh, and one more thing. If you're looking for souvenirs, keep an eye out for products with an E-Mark certification.
E-Mark? What's that?
It signifies special Tokyo certified products, often made using those local island ingredients or traditional methods unique to the region. So they make great edible souvenirs that really represent the place you visited.
Good tip. So, wow, we've gone from the absolute spiritual and visual icon of Mount Fuji, this massive, powerful present,
to the really intimate, diverse, and delicious world of the Tokyo Island's food culture. It's quite the journey, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It really is. I feel like this deep dive gave us a real taste, literally, in the case of the islands, of these iconic places, the local customs wrapped up in the food, and even a peek at costs through those menu examples.
Yeah, hopefully we've highlighted some key things to see around Fuji and definitely some things to eat across the islands. It should give people a good starting point if they're thinking of visiting either or maybe even both.
Absolutely. Okay, final thought to leave everyone with. We've explored this incredible natural beauty of Fuji and the super unique culinary traditions of the islands, both surprisingly accessible from Tokyo. So, thinking about all that, which part of this deep dive makes you most curious? What sparks your wanderlust for your own potential Japanese adventure?